This is Evan Darnell, speaker of the Porterhouse of the Red Meat Lovers Club. Welcome. Today is going to be epic. We're going to talk to someone very dynamic as my neck size holds up at a shirt store. Somewhat wishy-washy. I don't know what that means, but I felt like it was flowing. Now look, Red Meat Lovers Club, we had a great lunch yesterday. Awesome. Meet our sponsor lunch. You guys got to start coming to these. We had 65 people packed into a restaurant that holds 28. So you do the math. It was a tight quarters, but I got up on my soapbox and did what I do, and I had a good time doing it. So you're going to be hearing this podcast, and you're going to be saying to yourself, what is coming up? Well, I'll tell you real quick. First time in 3 years, the Red Meat Kosher Club rides again. Me and my SOB, my Secretary of Brisket, and we are rolling into Illumi space a little bit north of Meisner Country Club in Delray Beach, Florida, helping Israel Fund, Glenn Golish's awesome thing. And we're going to be doing that on Wednesday, the 22nd of February, redmeatkosherclub.com. And then 2 days later, because I cannot get enough, we're rolling into the Haggerty Garage and Social for the Haggerty Drivers Foundation. And we are going to be raising our forks for this amazing organization. Our friends at Haggerty underwrote the whole night, which means all the money from the tickets and the auction will be going to the foundation. Now that is fun. So let's do it again. 1 week later. First time ever. I love saying that. First time ever. A night event during the day. So it is also this guy's birthday. So what am I going to do? I'm going to bring in 5 of my favorite restaurants. We're going back to Haggerty because I love that place and they have ample parking. And they love to host us. So we are going to be doing an incredible afternoon delight. 5 restaurants for MS Society. And it's going to be extra special. Now, speaking of extra special, let me tell you about my guest. I'm going to introduce you, Neil.
Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Let's see if I can get this right. The Rolls Royce of auctioneering.
Rolls Royce.
Now, if you have an event and you're like, it is a dynamic, amazing event. A lot of time has gone into this event. You have baked a beautiful cake. Neil is the fondant of the cake. He wraps up events special, and he's an incredible auctioneer. And I've been looking forward to talking to you for a while because what Neil does is fascinating to me because I am a amateur auctioneer, meaning an amateur to me means I don't get paid for it.
I mean, that means just enough to be dangerous.
Yeah. So, welcome to the show. Neil Saffer and his wife, Trisha, started this company in 1990.
You got it. Somebody's doing their homework.
I did go to Tulane. And so you started this company, and you've done thousands of events.
Just over 4,000.
Over 4,000. That sounds like my 2024. No. So I've seen you work. Now, I'll tell you about my auctioneering skills, and you tell me yours, okay?
Go ahead.
I combine Jewish grandma and Italian Goomba into a mix of Jewish guilt and Italianness, and That's my style. I guilt and I pull. What's your style all about? I've seen it and it's great.
That's an interesting observation. So let's start with the 4,000. So we've done 4,000 events.
Yeah.
Raised just over $400 million for
Sick.
nonprofits. And the one thing I'd say is no two events are the same. No two rooms are the same. As you
Yep.
know, just from your events, no two groups are the same. No two causes are the same. So.
Yep.
So a few things, right? So the other day, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, she looked at Trish. She said, "What's the most fun auction?" And Trish was looking at them. From the outside, they all look like fun, but the behind the scenes, as you know, is work, right?
Yeah.
You're researching the organization. You're researching a room. You're studying those items. You're hoping to get the right items for the right room, for the right cause, et cetera, et cetera. So style is a little different, right? In a room with 250 attentive audience, ballroom, I do something similar to what you just described, a combination of stand-up and bid calling, right?
Yeah.
In a room of 800, 1,000, 1,100, completely different style, because literally to engage that person 11 table rows back is a whole other art, right? You really need a team. And Trish and I, we've built the team. So the style changes based on the also about the seriousness of the event, right? Like you're talking about Haggerty's Garage, you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Fun thing, great venue. You could have a lot of fun with that. You're dealing with cancer kids, a little different. You got to be a little more serious and a little more sharing a story. So style differs based on the room, the audience, the place, but the homework is always the same, right? You spent so for instance, there's events I just wouldn't do. I don't believe in the cause. I don't believe in the mission. And there's events I'll do, but I only do an event if I've visited the facility, right? I won't take on an animal rescue client unless I visited it, see how they're treating the animals. I won't take on a foster home unless Trish and I have visited the foster home, got to know the kids, seen how they're being treated. So, and there are, but we just love what we do, and I just love being here.
I'll tell you what. So it's interesting because, like, and this is why I wanted to talk to you, is like Red Meat Lovers Club. We do, call it 25 events a year with auction, and every cause is different, and I used to have stuff. I used to have a whiskey collection. It is gone because if I donate one bottle an event, before you know it, I'm out 120 bottles. But I always find it interesting. I feel like stuff is obviously important, and that's what I tell the charity partners we work with. It's a little bit different because we're always a DIY event, and they don't normally give us stuff. But when they do, it's great, and it makes our job a little bit easier to help raise. But yeah, I've done some things. How do you, the cause, that's always interesting, right? Because some causes are easy to, for lack of better words, sell. Sick kids,
Sure,
puppies.
You got it.
But like sometimes, I don't know.
I'll give you one. Developmentally disabled adults. One of the hardest things to raise funds for, right? Like you said, little kid, young child suffering with cancer or heart disease. Easy, right? People, get them in a room, have some drinks, a wonderful dinner, presentation. People throw money at you.
Right.
You start doing developmentally disabled adults or things like that. Much, much more difficult. So, so much homework, time, planning goes into every event, and we do. Our team is doing about 100 events a year. So a lot of these events, the committee, the development director, the event planners, the day after one event is done, they're planning next year's event. Their entire budget, or a huge piece of their budget, may be based on that one event, right? This is the most serious thing that organization has to do in most cases.
Right.
So back to the amateur professional thing, right? If you're doing a small fun fundraiser, that's not the make it or break it for an organization, right?
Right.
You can really, and I say this so respectfully, get up there and do that Jewish stick Italian humor, right?
Right.
Flash those guns at the ladies, and the money just comes in. And whatever you make, you make. But see, a lot of times we'll sit down with people and say, man, if we don't hit 100,000, 200,000, whatever. That's our budget, you know.
Right.
So we do events that, you know, we do several multi-million-dollar events, and then we do some small events. But the small ones are as significant to those people as the $1 million ones, you know.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. We both raised. I saw you. It was at the Mark Bell's house.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because we do 2 events for them. That's the Boca Police Foundation. April 11th, rmlcgolf.com. We do their golf tournament, and luckily enough, we do such a good job. They say, "Come to Mark Bell's house," and I got to see you. So let's talk about, do you, like, as an auctioneer, and your company is obviously not small, do you have access to like stuff?
So yeah, you know? it's a great question. It's a question everybody asks, right?
Right.
Like your Red Meat Lovers organization, there are people, companies, organizations that want to be associated with you because of your clientele, who you are, right?
Right.
So we've been fortunate, blessed, lucky, work hard over the years. Businesses, resorts, cruise lines, things like to have their packages in our events because you're in front of 400 or 500 high net worth individuals, and people, oh wow, I didn't know you could do that. So
that hotel looks amazing. I didn't win it, but maybe I'll go back.
Exactly. So we have that opportunity, and then like you were saying, the right items for the right crowd. So last night we were at the kickoff party for the Tri-County Animal Rescue Doggy and Kitty Ball. Right now, got the Doggy and Kitty Ball. I'm going down the list. I'm going, what would be a good item for that? I make a call. We got Westminster Kennel Club. I don't know if you ever watch that.
Yeah, of course.
The Westminster. I'm like, okay, now that wouldn't be the greatest item at the, whatever, the Rotary Club of Boca Raton's annual gala awards, but for the Tri-County Animal Rescue, it's fantastic, and vice versa. So speaking about, you just gave me one, the police, right?
Right.
You're at Mark Bell's amazing home,
yeah,
and you've got these SWAT vehicles and all these good-looking officers, none with arms quite that big.
None.
And you're seeing all these vehicles. So what's a good item there, right? A day at the SWAT range with the Boca Raton police, right? Great item. Might not be so good at, the Ruth Rails Jewish Family Services that we do, or the Catholic Charities event, but it's perfect for the Boca Raton Police Foundation. So you really got to gear it, know your audience, and make your community partners understand that the item they're donating or giving is going to be in front of the audience that they want to be in front of. Just very, very similar to Red Meat Lovers.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, like at that Mark Bell's house, I met, you auctioned off a casino trip in Costa Rica from Jonathan
Reynaud, the Reynaud Group. Amazing people.
So, and I met him, and he's like, look, you can auction off the same packages to your crew at your events.
And I imagine you tried that?
And it's been great.
And how much money are you raising on that package?
Well, normally it goes for about, anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000.
Yeah, I know. That's what we're finding. So people pay $3,000, $3,000 to visit Jonathan's amazing facility in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And they come back and they talk about it. They tell their friends, the casino, the golf club. It's just so good. But so it's community partnership, and you got to make sure, you, me, us, people in this industry, that we're giving more than we're getting, right?
Right.
When you're talking about Jonathan's Place or Scott Grody's amazing cruise opportunities, that these folks realize what they're, not only are they writing the check to the charity, but what they're getting.
We actually worked with Scott via Fran, who is my philanthropy North Star. I call her.
I love her to death.
And we for George Snow, one of for Melissa's dance, we got a cruise, and that was really cool. That was really cool little prize.
Scott's it's not only a travel agent to the stars and the rich and the famous, he's also one of the most generous guys around town.
Well, that's another thing. And let me ask you this. Obviously, I don't think you ended up in this seat or Boca or Palm Beach by accident. My feeling, and I've said this a bunch of times, is Red Meat Lovers Club could not have started in any other place in terms of the philanthropy side than Palm Beach, because to me, it is so incredibly giving that the people here, thankfully, that they're at a point in their life that they can, donate money towards causes that they like. It's so generous down here. It blows my what I have seen, even at our little events. The amount of generosity that happens is incredible. And at the bigger events, I just sit back and I'm in awe. You go to events that raise $2-3 million at that event, it blows my head open.
So it's you're right. It's an unbelievably unique community in the philanthropical world here. People who have made their money all over the country in various businesses and whatnot come down here, and not only to enjoy our amazing lifestyle, but to share the wealth, right?
Right.
And they do share it. And you could go to Boca Raton Regional Hospital. We do a lot for them.
Yep.
And you could go in the emergency room or any of the waiting rooms and lobbies, and the names you see on the wall, that's the who's who of Boca Raton.
Yep.
And you look at some of these awards. You look at the Rotary Club of Boca Raton's Opal Awards,
Right.
25th anniversary this year. You look at the names of those award winners, and it's, again, the who's who. And it never...
So true. It's so true. And I'll tell you, I live in West Delray, in one of the bridges, 7 bridges. And it is also, though, a different world out there. So whenever we do events, even between the east side and the west side, it's a different feel. It's not better or worse. It's just different to me that it's completely separate crews.
But there's amazing philanthropy all over.
Everywhere.
3 nights ago, Trish and I were at the Pine Creek Sporting Club. You ever hear of that?
No, but it sounds like I want to have a cigar there.
It's in Okeechobee. It's 2 hours from nowhere.
Oh,
in the middle
okay.
of and we raised $500,000 plus in a 65-person dinner.
Awesome.
Because, again, the philanthropic hearts of these people
Yeah.
and the organization it was for was just so strong.
So I gotta ask you, this is one of those questions I wanted to ask you.
Uh-oh.
What is the weirdest thing you've ever auctioned off?
So weird, huh?
I want weird.
It's that's a great question. I wasn't prepared for that one at all. But so let's go through 32 years of pretty much doing this every day, and along those lines. So weirdest. So we don't get a lot of weird, and I'll tell you why. Because there's no surprise. There's very little surprises in what we do. Right. We sit through committee meetings. We visit facilities. We call in favors. We arrange for items. So I don't get a lot of weird items. But every once in a while, you sit with a group, and they'll go, here's your list of stuff. I want you to sell this. And you go down the list, and you see spay and neuter for your dog or cat, vasectomy. And I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? I said, ladies and gentlemen, we got a family planning package here. Yes, you and the pets, we got a spay and neuter for your dog or cat and a vasectomy for that one loved one in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, who give me a start? But he had $2,000. I got $2,000. But he had $2,500. $2,500. But he had $3,000 sold. Good luck, sir. One of those.
How do you, all right, question number 1 answered. How do you have a lot, you have a reserve, you're like, fuck, this is not selling. How do you come out of that?
Man, so it's such a great question, right? And
because this happens to me sometimes when I have, we work with, a consignment company at almost every event we do, and they have reserves. So it's always interesting, like how.
It's such a great question, right? And there's a feel. Right, there's a timing. I actually was part of a few associates that wrote the curriculum for the National Auctioneers Association for something called Benefit Auction Specialist. There's 105 auctioneers in the country that had that designation, and they basically studied our curriculum. And it's the hardest and most nuanced thing to teach, right? When do you hold them? When do you fold them? When do you go on? When do you move? Part of that comes back to the preparation, right? You don't have $5,000 items in $2,000 crowds, right?
Right.
You don't have, so knowing, and again, you use the word consignment, so I'll go there, right? The best auction for you, me, auctioneer, is everything donated, right?
Right.
But often you have organizations that have one hard work and event planner, one development director. They don't have a committee of 40 people with people with vacation homes and boats. So sometimes you'll have those items, but you just got to gear them to your crowd. You got to pre-promote them, right? You got some amazing trip to Africa. Let the folks know, because it's not a impulse decision going to Africa.
Right.
It's like, hey, honey, do we ever want to go to Africa? And just again, knowing your audience, there's also a timing thing, right? As you'll see, sometimes you go, all right, we'll start bidding at $5,000. $5,000, I'm going to get $5,000. Anybody, $5,000, I'm going to get $5,000. Nobody, $5,000, right? Nothing happens. And then one hand goes up, like halfway up. And then they start coming, right? I have $5,000 now, $5,500, $5,500, but he has $6,000, but he has $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, right? So, but again, it's nuance, it's timing. It's not every night is perfect. I mean, we've all had those nights. I'll tell you a story off the record.
I'll tell you a funny story. I'm sure this has happened to you more than a million times. But I've done auctions where I've gone, 600, I have 700, 800, right? And I don't have the cool cadence. And then a guy would...
You got the guns.
But... the guy just raises his hand and just yells out 10,000.
Okay, so
I'm like, are you joking? So, that was for an eating. Shout out to Nick Solaris. That was in the top floor of Peter Luger's, where that happened.
Thank you, Nick, wherever you are. Yeah. So I'll give you one just like it, right? Now, in the business, that's called a sale chiller, right? You want nobody to bid against you. You do a giant increment jump. Right. And you just chill the sale, but you get what you want, right?
Right.
In the charity world, it's a little different. Right? If you're doing real estate, cars, boats, that's a sale chiller. In a charity world, sometimes either the moment hits the person, right? The mission moment hits the person, or the guys come with a amount in his head and he wants to give that. So we're at the Caridad Center. We're at the O Resort. Caridad Center, one of my favorite places in the world, take care of migrant workers that no one else will take care of. I got a cruise. Cruise is probably worth $10,000. I'm at $9,000. I'll be 10, 9, I'll be 10, 9, I'll be 10. A friend of mine, one of my best friends, Terry Cunmore, brought a guest. The guy goes, $100,000, right? Had the money, felt the moment, felt the mission, stops the sale. Everybody stands up, starts cheering, clapping. People are crying, right? I go, okay, what do we do now? I'll give you one. Actually, so you probably do cash calls or appeals.
Occasionally,
right?
Occasionally, not most of the time.
I was at an event, and I said, folks, where do you want to start the appeal at? And I said, well, let's start at $10,000, right? So I got a room of people that hopefully some will give 10, and some will give 5, and some will give 2,500, right? Woman stands up and says, $13 million. True story.
Oh, my God.
True story. She had,
that's insane.
Had been working years to make this $13 million commitment to this organization, was positioned to give it that evening, both at the right time and at the wrong time. And I'll tell you why. If you're that $10,000 donor and $10,000 is a significant gift to you and somebody just said $13 million, you might put that check back in your pocket.
That's awesome, though. So I love that story. We normally don't do Call to Hearts because, our events are like, and I tell this to I ask my charity partners 3 things. I was like, if you have any stuff, this is the time to turn your stuff into money. I said, promote the event like as if it's your own. Some do, some don't. And you put people in the room. The more people you put in the room, the higher the raise goes quickly. But we've sold some like $100 items. We once raised $105,000. That was pretty cool.
But sometimes, and again, the smaller events, smaller groups. Last week, Trish and I we helped our friend Lorraine at the Florida Intergenerational Orchestra painted violin sale.
Okay.
Probably had, now again, not giant dollars, not $1 million sale. Right. Probably had more fun and more laughs with these painted violins, than some 800, 1,200 person event and a 1,800 person event.
Right. Plus at my events, I know a lot of people in the room, so I feel extra comfortable. I was hired once by my consignment company to do an auction, and they're like, well, there's a budget, we're going to pay you. And it was, I think they paid me like $500, and I was like, all right, I'll try it. They did not tell me that it was going to be at the end of a golf tournament with 12 people left in the room.
Oh, there you go.
They're like, well,
you earned every one of those $500.
I was like, so I sold one thing, and I had to pass on like 4 lots because they all had reserves from the consignment company, and
which is why timing is everything, right? So we've probably done hundreds of golf tournament auctions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a bunch of people together. They've got a common. You've got a captured audience, right? They all like golf, so you know some golf items may be good. But when's the right time to do a golf tournament auction? Lunchtime, right? Or at the awards ceremony,
right
before they give out the awards.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Once you give out the awards, they're gone.
And speaking of awards, we have awarded incredible partners in crime of our podcast. So I got to thank them, and I'm going to go through it quicker than normal because there's more stuff I need to talk to Neil about. But when I'm coming home, I don't know if Neil has ever auctioned this off, but Van Kirk Pools, an incredible luxury pool maker who takes your backyard and sculpts it into the backyard that you deserve. Van Kirk Pools is the luxury pool maker of the speaker of the Porterhouse podcast. And speaking of luxury and wrestling don't normally go together. But when it's Boca Raton Championship Wrestling, they do. My friend Matthew Mashler, the SOB, the Secretary of Brisket, has put together and created the Boca Raton Championship Wrestling League. The next event is March the 12th, and it's going to be amazing. So grab a ticket on Ticketmaster now. Very fancy. Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. Lots of fun. And when you have your Van Kirk pool, you're going to need Matthew Mashler to help you find that house to put your pool in. Because it'd be weird, driving around with just a pool on your car. So Matthew Mashler, if you need a pied-à-terre, if you need a mansion, if you need an entry-level house. What is entry-level in Palm Beach? I don't know. But what I do know is Matthew Mashler is your guy. So talk to Matt at realestatefinder.com. And when you need that money to buy the house, you may have a business, and your business needs to extract. Like I extract juices from my ribeye. Shipping profits. You talk to Ben Richmond over at Profit Trust, and he will make sure that your balance sheet is squeezing out profits like no profit sheet has done. Now, look, don't do it illegally. But if you do, you talk to Lyle Long, who does criminal law and personal injury law. I don't know if I like that segment. I may get rid of that one. But what I do know is that Lyle Long, personal injury lawyer and criminal lawyer, will make sure that all your law needs are taken care of. And I want to thank Pod Populi, our official podcast studio of the Red Meat Lovers Club. It's a really cool spot. They're around the country, and I don't know when you hear this that you'll know the Super Bowl score, but I do know that they are doing a marathon 24 hours after 24 hours after 24 hours of Super Bowl podcasting at their studio in Scottsdale, Arizona. So if you have something to say, you talk to my friend Ben over at Pod Populi, and he'll take care of your podcasting needs. So you've been to a lot of events.
Quite a bit.
Now, tell me, what style food do you like? Are you like a meat station entree guy? Or are you like plated? Or what do you think works best?
Okay, so what works best for fundraising?
Yes.
Okay, best fundraising formula is universal. It's a seated plated dinner, right? You walk into your plated salad, sit down, entrees, and again, timeline is everything, right?
Right.
Entree goes down, the fundraising begins. If you have a buffet, a get up, get down, it's not as efficient or conducive to fundraising. Might be an amazing spread, but we have so many awesome facilities right here in town in Boca Raton, around South Florida. Boca West Country Club, amazing. Polo, the Breakers, just so many incredible facilities. And they know what they're doing, right? They are trained. And we work all over the country. You know, we do events in New York, Indiana, Chicago, California. The facilities here, the people, the hospitality is really unmatched, you know. It's really great.
Now, I may put you on the spot. You don't have to answer.
Go ahead.
What local Palm Beach venue is, say, your 12-year-old pair of underwear that always feels right? Do you have a certain room that maybe it has good juju or what?
Sure. So for us, and again, you know, we're agnostic. We'll help anybody.
I get that.
Boca West Country Club.
It's a great.
It's our home turf, right?
Yeah.
We know everybody on the staff. We know the waiters. We know the management. We know the people. We know the people who live there. We know the donors. We know the patrons. In Palm Beach, for us, it's the Breakers.
Right.
You know, there's nothing like the Breakers. Paul Leone and that team, completely different feel.
How much money in not just from you, but can you imagine if you put like $1 total on the amount raised in like those grand rooms? Like it's got to be in the billions.
Yeah.
You know, just like if you add it all up. Boca West is cool. Now, the only issue with Boca West is the valet parking. If everyone gets out at the same time, it could be a 40-minute. You've got to park your own car. That's an insider trick.
I'm gonna give you a funny story, and it's not. It didn't happen at Boca West. It happened in another facility, but 800-person event gets out.
Yeah.
Some guy, big guy, probably had a little too much to drink. Goes up to the valet. Guy goes, "Give me my car." Guy goes, "Sir, where's your ticket?" He goes, "Lost my ticket. Get my car." He goes, "What kind of car, sir?" He goes, "It's a black Mercedes S550. He goes, "Sir, we've got 62 of those in the lot here." He goes, "Get my car." He goes, "Sir, your car will be the last black Mercedes S550 left in the lot when all the guys with the tickets have theirs." True story. And we're like, what do you do, right?
Right.
They're all they can say.
Exactly.
But now if you drive a 73 Jensen Healy or a
Like
1970 Opel GT, you don't have that problem. Exactly. That's mine right there.
Now, but now, do you let people valet your car?
So because almost nobody can drive any of my cars,
right?
they let me park it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love.
I know you're. Now, have you done an event yet at Haggerty and Delray?
Many. Love the facility, love the people, love the members. Jake is a good close friend. David Dweck's a good friend.
Right.
We've probably done 5 or 6 events there, and it's just, I think yours will be incredible because it is the coolest venue, and they really, the members are amazing, and the venue itself, they reach out to really be kind and special.
I agree. So, Boca West, it's your go-to old comfortable pair of undies. As far as I'm learning right now.
Go ahead, baby.
Guys. We're all in real time. We're learning.
Go ahead.
So, I'll tell you what we do is, again, different style. Different stuff. I start off with a Ric Flair shoe autograph, and I make the crowd on every incremental upgrade. They have to let off a big woo.
You know what I love about your podcast? Every one of your listeners probably knows who Ric Flair is.
Of course.
I love that.
And then we've been doing Rudy jerseys from the movie Rudy.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and then I make everyone every incremental bit yell out Rudy, and then we get that going. I'll tell you.
That might not work at the Breakers, but I'm sure it works.
It definitely will. If we do if Red Meat Lovers Club does an event at the Breakers one day,
oh, you will.
We will.
I'll do your auction.
Yeah, exactly. I've already booked Neil. So I learned this in Nashville. I had a guy that owns a place called Whiskey House, and if you haven't talked to John at Whiskey House, you will. You'll thank me after you talk to him. So they have the largest collection of open brown spirit bottles in the world. Okay, literally thousands of bottles, and what they do is they're not open to the public, and the only way you can get in is win through a charity auction, and they let you.
Love it.
The more the charity auction raises, the deeper into the house you can go.
Love it.
And it's a very special place. But what we did, and I've done this once before when I was auctioneering at the St. Andrew's School Dad's Club.
Love it. It's one of our big clients.
They're awesome.
We've been doing our events for 20 years.
And thank you for the library. So I do the dad's one because it's
I know
it's amateur hour, but it's fun. And what we did, and I learned this through John at the Nashville house, is he does this thing where you raise hands, and it goes up on fingers. So we have 10 spaces, and I hope that we're going to do this at the gala. Is that we're going to do a auction for 10 couples at the headmaster's house. And we're going to start at $250 a couple. And that will not sell. It will keep on going because there'll be 30 hands for that. Sure. And what I'm hoping for is to have 10 hands at $2,000 a hand. And that's a lot of cooking I'm also cooking dinner too. So Ethan and I will.
And you are everywhere. But that's, again, great technique, and it's
have you done? Is that something that you've done, or is
sure?
That
and we usually do it for those type of things, right? Unique dinners. We did a Thomas Jefferson period dinner where a gentleman came as Thomas Jefferson, and another gentleman came as the Marquis de Lafayette, and everybody wanted to go to his dinner, and the food was Jeffersonian period. The wines were Jeffersonian period. It's amazing. It was at the Sailfish Club, and we auctioned off the spaces by couple, and again, just that technique, right?
Yeah.
Who'd pay $500? Who'd pay $750? And as the people sit down, or hands, or bid cards,
right.
We'd end up with the 10 or 15 or 20 people, depending on the event. But yeah, that's a great technique for that type of thing. It's fair, it's transparent,
and I think that someone may want. I think like $2,000 is a good mark for people that want to spend something on something, but they may not be able to want or afford a private jet to Aspen.
See, that's another great point, right? And we do auctions where everything's 10 or 20 or 40. I mean, I do an auction that does about $2 million on a live auction every year. Every item has to be $30,000 or $40,000. We'll never hit that number, but in most cases, even the auctions where things are $5,000 to $10,000, I like to have that $2,000 item, that dinner, that paella party, that something, so that the regular guy can
and look, and spending $1,000 a head is a luxury, but at the same time, like, I feel like that lot could really be the surprise hit of the gala because there's multiple winners,
I love it.
And so that was what about something that, have you ever auctioned something, and this has happened to me before more than once, is that someone donates something and doesn't fulfill it?
Yeah,
which scares the fuck out of me.
Very, very, very tenuous. So thankfully, but we've learned that lesson, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, over the 32 years, very rare. But when you talk about donors, when you talk about the travel, when you talk about the dinners, when you talk about whatnot, even the cash call commitments,
right?
I've seen people with the greatest of intentions go out of business. I've seen, so again, very rare. The people we go with are known entities. The donors are known entities. They've been in business a long time. But we did have one of my clients brought on a travel company that went out of business, and there were people that didn't get their trips fulfilled.
And what's the remedy to that?
So the remedy is because we work because in this realm our clients are nonprofits, and the donors are usually donating for the cause.
Right.
So the correct remedy is, and it's again very rare, but the correct remedy is the organization offers, or is 100% willing to give the donor their money back. They bought something they didn't get. Again, very rare.
Yeah.
And in most cases, the donor says, no, we want to help kids with cancer or foster children and whatnot. Keeping them, it's a donation. But again, so think about COVID, right?
Yeah.
All those people that bought stuff that couldn't get fulfilled for a year and a half or two, all those organizations. I mean, that was the biggest challenge of our professional life, yours too, I imagine. We had 65 events that got canceled. We had people calling us going, what are we going to do? We can't meet in person. Our budget, we transitioned to this virtual format pretty much overnight.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest challenge and the biggest reward of our career.
Yeah, we did. I'll tell you, like when Selfless Love, we love Selfless Love.
Oh my God, I love them too.
And so they had to go virtual, and my caterer and I did a gala in a box dinner where we delivered it up and down, the Florida coast. With Potions and Motions.
Scott Robertson did that, right?
Yeah.
A good friend of mine.
And then it was online. They actually happened to raise a ton of money that year because everyone just basically converted their breaker's ticket into a donation. But we love raising money for them. What's the best deal you have seen? I'm sure you have seen some epic deals where like tell me, I know that you got a story where like someone bought something worth $100,000 for like $7,000.
So usually it's these things, right? So somebody will put a piece of art in a charity auction that is a significant piece, and nobody has any clue. And
right.
So art is hard to sell at benefit auctions, but sometimes, and this is rare, once a year, once every 2 years, somebody puts a significant piece in, right?
Right.
Same thing with jewelry, right?
Yeah.
I know art pretty well. I know jewelry, I know wines very well, right? Sometimes wines, right? Some guy will pick up a wine collection for a deal because they didn't put it in the right room. They didn't.
Right. You want to bid against them. You're like, I've never bid against someone in my own auction. Have you ever made a bid at an auction?
Always, and I'll tell you why. It's a great question. I'm glad you finally asked it. Right.
Right.
Okay. When I'm there, I'm raising money for the charity, right?
Right.
Whether it's foster kids,
because you see the charities. You're probably doing more research than anyone in the world.
Wait a minute. My money is as good as anybody's. If
you
see me bidding, bid against me. I'm telling you.
Right.
People go, can you bid at your own auction? Of course. My check is going to your favorite charity, just like your check is going to your favorite charity. If you want that item, you buy it. Everything in our home was bought at a charity auction or an auction.
That's great.
Every trip we go on, every dinner we bought at somebody's auction, right? Every wine you drink at my house, my wife has bought in a wine collection in somebody's auction because we want to support our clients, our friends, our community partners also.
Yeah. And so I'm going to hold you to an answer though. Is it? I need one detail. Like, give me like someone bought
one painting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a painting in my house. It's of a sailboat. Now this is probably 20 years ago. It was in the National Croquet Center. I can't even remember the event. It's on a silent auction. There's this big giant painting of a sailboat. Right, look good. I have a lot of boats, and my wife collects sailboat. I collect car art. My wife collects sailing art and boats. I bought for $100. I got home, I look up the artist, $4,000 is starting price on a piece, right?
Right.
Now everybody's looking at the same piece. Nobody wanted that sailboat. They put the price on it.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'll give you $100 for it. I had no idea if it was worth $100 or God knows what it's worth now, right? But it's just an example. So, and again, you don't go to charity auctions for that reason, right? You go to garage sales and whatnot.
I get it, but there always happens to be like, and I could not. I had a $4,000 exercise machine, brand new certificate.
Did you break it?
No, I didn't break it. I tried to auction it. It was a
Peloton.
It was similar to Peloton, but it was completely opposite. It was like a what's those things that you like? You almost like skiing on it, but
a Nordic track.
Yeah, something similar to that, right? I could not. If I just stopped, I stopped the sale. Where it was a donated piece.
Oh, yeah.
But I could not and it was a good integrity test. None of my guys wanted an exercise piece of equipment, and I appreciated that. But it was, you could have got it for literally like 10, 15 cents on the dollar. But, no one wanted it.
So. Again, right piece, right place, right time, right crowd. And even if you do all your homework, you do have those moments. But, those things... exercise machines, art, jewelry. Yeah, definitely.
They're tough.
Definitely. Yeah.
We've been having a lot of success with rare bourbon,
Oh,
where we'll do like a
yeah.
bottle of Pappy. Buffalo Trace was kind enough to donate.
What's the most you ever got for a bottle of Pappy? Because I've sold several in the last year.
I do it on raffle.
Oh,
so we'll sell.
That's a good way to maximize it.
$100 tickets. After 10 tickets, you break even. But what I've been also doing with it is Buffalo Trace was kind enough to give us 6-person VIP hard hat tours to partner with it. So, I could look someone in the eye and say, look, it's a $3,000 to $4,000 priceless value because you can't buy the tour. You have to get it donated from a charity. So, we've pulled out like $3,000 to $4,000 in profit.
You're so right, though. Those iconic things, right?
Right.
So Pappy, we're at $4,500 for a bottle of Pappy at every gala, right?
Yeah.
That we have one.
Right.
I'll tell you another one is you'll know this, you'll love this. Rayo's Reservations.
Rayo's Reservations.
You ever get one?
I've seen them. I've been at events I never got them, nor would I want them because I don't think I would have the rooms.
Yeah, you got to get 10 grand.
You got to get 10 grand, and that's the price, And I have been in correspondence with the Rayo's team on the West Coast because I have this idea in my head where we do a Rayo's pop up in Boca, but it was just announced that they're opening in the Fontainebleau. So we only have a little bit of time left if we really want to make that happen. But I have some big ideas in my head. What about airport events? Are those
airplane hangar?
Airplane hangars.
So again, so the elements that make event good, right? You might think they're boring, but seated dinner, giant LED screens, perfect sound, right?
Yep.
Things that make events challenging. A buffet, a giant metal building, people able to go in lots of directions, planes landing on a runway while you're bid calling. We do them. We do them for Car Concours. We do. Bill, my assistant my partner did one 2 days ago for the Viner Scholarship. Went unbelievably well. But again, it's a challenge, right?
Right.
Go ahead. Ask me about celebrities we worked with in the last 2 weeks.
I know it's a lot, but if it's not Ric Flair, then we are not discussing.
So the last 2 weeks, I'm just smiling because I just love it. We could sit here, we could do it. You and I could do a wrestling show. Ivan Putski, my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Paul Arndorff and I spent an afternoon together reminiscing.
Well, Brutus the Barber was at our boxing event 10 days ago. But yeah, I'm a big fan of 80s wrestling. That was a very formative years for me.
That's awesome.
But look, I mean, I'll tell you, we've worked with, I paid one appearance fee in my life. Only one. And we've had a bunch of people at our events, but the night with Bo Jackson at the FAU football stadium was pretty special. But, that wasn't for his charity, so that was for Make-A-Wish.
Love Make-A-Wish.
I'll tell you what, we used to do a lot with Make-A-Wish, right? But a good raise for us is, call it 35 grand. I feel like it's a speck of sand.
I get it. Yeah.
With Make-A-Wish, whereas
you want to be significant.
I want to look, my ego wants to make a big difference, and even if it's one person's life. Versus, and I get it, Make-A-Wish is awesome. And we've given out, if you don't cry at a Make-A-Wish giveaway, surprise wish giving, there's something wrong with you. I love that shit. But it's not the easiest for us to work with because they're not as hands-on as, say,
I'm with you.
The local person from Boca that you can touch, feel. And
so my wife and I have been board members for the Chiara Family Foundation for 28 years, right? Kids with cancer to go to camp. Very, very, very simple message.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you said. Not only do we raise the money, we know the kids. We go to the camp. We visit the camp. I did the wedding ceremony for one of my close friends that was a camper at 7 years old that is 30 now and a social worker or a master of social work working with other kids with cancer. You're right. Make that difference. Be significant. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and again, not that we're not. I like the stuff that is, close to home. We as a club, I don't really pick the charities. Our sponsors do. It's one of the benefits of being a sponsor. So, but we do have MS that's close to home, and I love Ashley. I would always say that Selfless is like our go-to because of the people behind the charity. Like and they match, I match excitement with, I was on a phone call yesterday. We're doing an event. We're starting to do events in more, I don't know if the right word's random, but like we're doing an event in Syracuse. Like it's not on our radar, but they reached out to us, and as our reputation gets a little bit bigger, and I just, like I said, we match excitement with excitement. Like if you want us to do all this stuff and you're excited about it, you're going to work with us, then let's do it.
It's so funny. You just got me thinking something. So most of our clients, most of our partners are excited, right? But every once in a while you get the naysayer, right? And Trish will tell you, we've had them all through the years. You just don't understand our crowd. They won't spend any money. They don't buy stuff. They don't like anything. Well, what's the most you ever made? We raised $8,000 last year. This won't work, I promise. Boom. 50, 60 grand, right? They go, oh my God, I can't believe it. You're right.
Challenge accepted.
I'm like, yeah, because you just got to give them something. You can't just go in the room every year and go, this is not going to work.
Right,
make it happen.
Right. I'll tell you what.
You just said it.
Well, and that's the thing is that, I look at what you do as much as an auctioneering as you're like an MC, and if the MC is not bringing the right energy, then the whole event could be just unenergetic.
And again, do your homework, and be real, right? So when we teach the class to other auctioneers, upcoming auctioneers, benefit auction specialists, be real, be transparent. You got to believe in it, right?
Right.
I mean, if you're whatever, if you don't believe in the cause, if you don't understand the cause, it shows through, right? I mean, like I said, there's things that there's not enough money in the world to get me to work for, and there's other things I'd work for all day long, give it my everything.
Right. Yeah, I get it. Listen, those are what we do. I think we're in the same boat, different boat, but same direction. Where it's we're just trying to not only raise money for the charities, and again, that's quickly become, as far as me personally, that's what drives me. It's not eating a big steak, in different cities that I can do anywhere. It's the charity, it's the personal relationships that come out of the events. I look at myself as my Jewish grandma matchmaker, but with businesses, and I quickly found out, and we'll wrap up, but the reason why we transitioned as a Red Meat Lovers Club from just guys getting together to raising money is I quickly realized that if I'm putting 80 to 100 guys in a room, I got to take advantage of that in a way that is more than just let's all get together and have a cigar and a steak. It's just
you put a bunch of people together. You give them a good time.
Yeah.
Give them something good to drink, something good to eat. You share a message, whatever that message is.
Yeah.
The rest comes. The rest comes. And by the way, I'm just looking at your list there. You are providing a great service because there's nothing more important than a good referral, right? And
100%.
You just talk about a pool company, right? I know so many people, myself included, who've had not the best experience with a pool company.
Yeah.
Right? I just jotted that down.
Yeah.
Because, attorney.
Well, exactly. And plus, if you're going to be in the room with people once a month, I want to do business with, I have a really good feeling that person, knowing that they're going to see me, 2 times a month, they're not going to do a bad, they can't do a bad job, or you're like, it's awkward. Why make it awkward? Just do a great job.
Oh, no, 100%.
Business, business wise.
So we have a partnership with I know you're probably going to go. We have a partnership with organization, foundation called the Spring of Hope, right? You've probably seen it. They'll donate week in South Africa at their estate in exchange for people helping dig wells for schools with no water. I've probably sold that trip 200 times. 200 people come back and thank me for the opportunity to be part of that, right?
Right.
But again, you can't have one bad experience, right? Every experience has to be good. And same with your pool, your lawyer.
Oh yeah. Well, same with events. You know, like we've done about 120 events. I'm only as good as my last event.
I say that all the time.
You know, it's just like, you know, and people have, you know, they don't. I'm like, what about the other 19 events that you loved? Well, we didn't eat enough at this event. So. But, you know, maybe I'm personally my own club's critic. You know, like I am, no event's perfect, but I do leave some events saying, I can't believe we just did that. You know, it's just like, it's a really good feeling. And then it's hard to sleep. How do you sleep after a huge over-the-top raise? You're like,
I love it. So it's a great question. I know you experience it. My partner, Bill Riddick, my wife, everybody.
Yeah.
We come out of when you come out of a big night, like everything goes right, you don't sleep.
No.
You're fired up. You're in the kitchen. You can't stop talking. Right. Bill's calling me from wherever he is. I'm calling my wife from wherever I am in the country. There's no sleep. I mean, I've seen more movies at midnight because the adrenaline's
there. And I'll tell you, I thank goodness I feel comfortable on a micro. I didn't know how comfortable I'd feel on a microphone until I held one. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, I don't, but maybe it's 20 years of restaurant business in me, where coming across a lot of public, you know, talking to the
party of four, your table's ready.
Yeah. We're like, how long's the wait? 6.5 minutes. You're like, what? Like, yeah, no, that's, you know, I learned a lot working the front door of the main restaurant of Bloomingdale's on 59th and Lexington in New York. Just cross section of the universe.
So true. Everything you do adds to what you bring to that microphone. Right?
100%.
Everything you experience, everything you observe in the world, right?
Yeah.
If you don't at least turn on the news that morning, I mean, we've done events the day the stock market has crashed. We've done events when wars have started. Like, you got to be so conscious of what's going on in the world.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen guys make the worst jokes at the worst time just because they weren't aware, right?
Right.
And so what you just said is true. It's just, you know.
That's why I only like to joke at myself. World record timing on the podcast, meaning we've gone longer than we've ever gone, but you're one of those people that I've wanted to speak to for years. So thank you for indulging that little scratch of mine.
I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to doing some stuff together.
Yeah, I want to create, that's the Red Meat Lovers Club new goal is to create events dynamic enough to worthy Neil to be at.
No. We'll partner on something.
We will, and I'll tell you what, it will be hilarious. It will be a great night, and people will walk out of that room being like, I wish that was every Thursday.
Got it, man.
That's the goal. I appreciate you. Yeah, enjoy. Look up Neil's company. How do people find you?
SafferandCompany.com. I just spelled out, and now they can find me on your podcast.
Exactly. And follow Neil on Facebook if you can. It's one of those Facebook accounts I like because you're everywhere and I love it. You know, you're in like dynamic situations at all times.
We are fortunate, we are lucky, we are blessed to be surrounded, like you said, by great people that have truly become great friends and partners in all the things we do.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, and that's another, and I'll end the people. Look, and I'll relate it to life. Okay. I think Neil's secret sauce, if he has one, is he knows a lot of really good people. And when he's in a room with a lot of good people that he knows, I think really good stuff happens from that. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Man. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, man. Take care.